There's a lot of Christmas specials out there. A lot of Christmas specials. And as such, there are a lot of Christmas specials that have fallen out of the public consciousness. There's only so many hours of broadcast every holiday season. If something isn't an all-time classic, the chances of it being re-aired decrease more and more with every passing year. So this holiday season, I've pulled out my time machine, and we're going to take a look at 5 forgotten specials that aired Christmas week in 1981. Now, to be clear, only one of these specials actually premiered in 1981. The rest are a few years older. This is about specials that television channels thought were worthwhile to air at the time that you just don't see on TV anymore. Let's jump into it with 5 forgotten Christmas specials that aired in 1981. Christmas was on a Friday in 1981, a very tidy holiday week, so let's jump back to the previous Monday. I'll be drawing from the TV listings of Rutland Daily Herald out of Rutland, Vermont. A few weeks before this, Muhammad Ali had his last boxing match. A handful of days after this, the first test tube baby would be born. On television, you'd be able to catch the 1935 Christmas Carol adaptation Scrooge, starring Seymour Hicks. Or, if you want something sillier, 1964's Santa Claus Conquers the Martians. We're still a decade out from that becoming a Mystery Science Theater 3000 episode. They just aired that on its own. For Monday, I was tempted to cover Freddy the Freeloader's Christmas Dinner, which premiered on HBO that year and became comedian Red Skelton's last major television project. But no, for Monday, I've selected a special that has largely been forgotten unless you're a Mormon like I used to be and your church had it in its little VHS cupboard. Originally from 1980, this is Mr. Krueger's Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Mr. Holloway.
Oh, Krueger. Sorry about the floor.
That's all right. For a Christmas tree, I'll sleep twice.
Produced by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, James Stewart stars as the titular Mr. Willie Krueger, a lonely old widower who doesn't have anyone to share Christmas with. So he spends his time walking about and imagining the lives he might have had, having little Walter Mitty-style daydreams about being rich, watching festive celebrations, or, tying into the half-hour specials producers, conducting the Mormon Tabernacle Choir. While getting ready for a quiet Christmas, some carolers pop by and are oddly distressed at the existence of this old guy. Ew, your wife died? Weirdo. A little girl leaves her gloves in his apartment, then the carolers come back asking about the gloves, and the guy gives them the gloves, and the carolers are like, hey, you want to come over for dinner? And so Mr. Krueger ends up having a nice Christmas after all. This is a pretty slight Christmas special. It's decently filmed, there's some pretty well-composed shots, the colors really pop, but there's barely a story here. It's more akin to a music video collection of classic Christmas songs. And I hope you love blurred frame edges, because you're going to be swimming in them. The special was made by Bonneville Productions, the radio and television subsidiary of the Deseret Management Corporation, the for-profit arm of the LDS Church. Now, most Mormon-produced media made for the mainstream rarely, if ever, actually dips into Mormonism, and Mr. Krueger's Christmas is no exception. Yes, the Mormon Tabernacle Choir show up, but they're singing Sleigh Ride, not a Mormon hymn like What Was Witnessed in the Heavens, or even The Wintry Day Descending to Its Close. Mormonism has historically been a touchy subject for some people, and it's just more marketable to present a denomination-neutral brand of Christianity, as a way of saying, hey guys, we all love Christmas and Christ and God, right? We got a lot in common, actually. The reason the church got involved in the project was because it's important for the world to understand that the entire basis of our religion is Jesus Christ. The show can do a lot of good for today's world. It can become a true gift at Christmas time if, through seeing it, people let the Savior touch their lives. At least in this regard, it is an unapologetically Christian work in the face of more and more secular Christmas media, peaking with a scene where Mr. Krueger imagines himself gossiping with the baby Jesus.
Like the time I got mad with Mabel Huntington because she broke her pipes on purpose, just so she could have somebody to see while I came up and fixed them for her. Boy, I hollered at her, I hollered real loud. But then I got to thinking that you loved Mabel just as much as you loved me.
Jimmy Stewart himself was not a Mormon, but a Presbyterian. The most famous Mormons around this time would have been the Osmond family, and they weren't even in their 40s yet. The special does mark a major transition in Stewart's career. Then 72, the famous actor of It's a Wonderful Life, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, and Harvey, was pretty much done with Hollywood. His last live-action theatrical film premiered that same year, a critically panned movie called The Green Horizon that only managed to get into theaters in Japan. After that, Stewart hit semi-retirement, spending the 1980s dabbling in miniseries and made-for-TV movies like this one. His final film was as a voice actor in An American Tail, Fievel Goes West. Mr. Krueger's Christmas aired sporadically through the 1980s, a little more often in the 1990s with the normalization of cable television. It showed up on Hallmark a few times, but the most recent television listing for it that I've managed to dig up was in 2005, meaning it hasn't been on television for nearly 20 years. I'd like to pretend it's because another Krueger character got famous after the movie, and networks didn't want people thinking it was a Nightmare on Elm Street Christmas special, but that's just me being silly. More likely, the special was showing its age, capital C Christian Christmas media has always struggled on secular television, and not many Christian channels are going to give Mormon-produced shows the light of day. That said, it's not hard to find. Mr. Krueger's Christmas had some home video releases, and if you want to check it out, it's available in high quality on the Latter Days Film YouTube channel.
I love you, Mr. Krueger.
I love you. That's what Christmas is all about. Clarissa said it to Mr. Krueger. Mr. Krueger said it to Jesus. And Jesus, in so many ways, has said it to all of us.
The big must-watch special airing on Tuesday had to have been John Denver and the Muppets, one of the better nonsense variety specials that came out of the 1970s. Otherwise, not too many Christmas specials airing that day. You can instead catch the first part of the classic Doctor Who serial Ark in Space on PBS, the one about the evil bubble wrap aliens, or a rerun of that Medical Center two-parter where Robert Reed, the dad from the Brady Bunch, plays a trans woman. Because no, trans people aren't a recent phenomenon, and anyone who thinks so is an idiot. I came pretty close to picking Tukiki and His Search for a Merry Christmas, a 1979 animated special about an Inuit child who travels the world to learn about Christmas. Now, I got something a little more interesting than that. Originally airing in Canada in 1977, this is a cosmic Christmas.
Prepare for landing. Prepare for landing. Earth Day, December 24th.
A young boy named Peter and his pet goose Lucy follows a shooting star out into an open field, only to discover that it's an alien spacecraft, housing 3 magi-looking alien beings. Their mission? To find the true meaning of Christmas. So Peter gives them a tour around town to try and show off the Christmas spirit, but it turns out that human beings kind of suck, actually.
Hey, George, did you hear about the alien invasion? Edna said a UFO landed outside of town.
Oh, sure. Sounds like a publicity stunt to me. I'll bet it's that new store trying to steal my business. Some people will do anything.
Yeah, George, I see what you mean.
The leader of a gang of kids, Marvin, does a bit of goose snatching, grabbing Lucy with intent to eat her, but ends up falling through an icy pond trying to escape. Peter tries to save Marvin, but falls in himself. The rest of the town creates a chain of arms to save both of them, but don't quite have enough people until the secretive aliens reveal themselves to the town. Marvin gets chewed out, but Grandma reminds him that he's literally a homeless child. And so the town has a big feast, and the aliens learn the meaning of Christmas.
Any more questions?
No. I think we understand Christmas now.
It's a goofy premise. The aliens being clearly parallel to the 3 magi is an Odd choice you'd expect from a more religious Christmas special, like if they showed up asking for the meaning of Christmas and Peter told them about the baby Jesus. Even Orko learned about the baby Jesus. But we just land on Christmas is about family and community and thinking of others, which is a good message. It just doesn't match the cartoon's aesthetic points, I think. But what an aesthetic! The animation here is pretty great. Lots of fluid motion, a lot of unconventional, intentionally ugly character designs that gives us this mutant of a mayor. This guy gives Danny DeVito's Penguin a run for his money. There's a real grime of humanity all over this, which makes the quest to find some genuine Christmas joy meaningfully difficult. Premiering on CBC on December 4th, 1977, A Cosmic Christmas was an early project for the Canadian animation studio Nelvana. The company was slowly building itself up after working out of a rundown apartment with a camera mounted on a toilet seat. After a couple of specials that combined live action and animation, this was Nelvana's first fully animated special, and it ended up being their big breakout. The special got a lot of publicity, a big profile on the Toronto Star, it won a few local awards, but most importantly, it was seen by one George Lucas, who enjoyed it so much that he contracted Nelvana to do a 10-minute animated segment for the upcoming Star Wars Holiday Special. Yes, the special has quite the negative reputation, but most agree that Nelvana's segment, which introduced the world to Boba Fett, was the best part. And that got the ball rolling, Nelvana becoming a bigger and bigger deal as time marched on. The Care Bears movie, Babar, Eek the Cat, The Magic School Bus, plus some shows we'll be talking about on Knickknacks like Beetlejuice, The Adventures of Tintin, and Rupert. With a filmography like that, A Cosmic Christmas does get a bit lost in the shuffle. The most recent television listing for it that I could find was in 2003, and that was in Canada. That was home turf. The most recent listing in the United States was in 1993. It was released on VHS, but never on DVD. At the time of this writing, you can catch it on streaming on good old Tubi. A Cosmic Christmas fits into a sort of trend for weird Christmas specials that have a high quality but unconventional animation style that focuses on the ugliness of humanity. It holds kinship with specials like Ziggy's Gift and Christmas in Tattertown, specials with a lot of character, a lot of love put into them, but little appeal for mainstream audiences who just want to relax and watch something nice like Rudolph and Charlie Brown. Let's see, on Wednesday, they're airing Pavarotti's Big Christmas Concert from 1978. I never watched the performance, but my grandma had the album, so I spent many Christmases listening to O Holy Night in Italian. HBO is airing Emmett Otter's Jugman Christmas, Emmett Otter's Jugman Christmas, Emmett Otter's Jugman Christmas. There's the Fred Astaire TV movie, The Man in the Santa Claus Suit. Oh, and the Christmas Raccoons, one of the specials that preceded the animated Raccoon series. The show's pretty good if you've never given it a shot. But the big highlight for tonight was the airing of 3 different Rankin Bass specials. Just, not any of the ones anyone cares about. The Little Drummer Boy, Book 2, is on at 7 because The Little Drummer Boy was just begging for a sequel, right? Then at 8, Frosty's Winter Wonderland. That one's okay, if a little heteronormative. Then at 8:30, making its premiere that night, The Leprechaun's Christmas Gold, which was so obviously meant to be a St. Patrick's Day special before the networks pressured them into making it another Christmas thing. For this day's selection, I'm going to pivot to something a little less Christmassy and a bit more winter-focused. Originally airing on the BBC in 1976, adapted from the works of Hans Christian Andersen, this is The Snow Queen.
There are many elemental creatures waiting to take advantage of the devil's mirror, one more fearful than the rest.
A pretty faithful adaptation of the 1844 Danish fairy tale, Kay and Gerda are two happy little siblings, just enjoying life, until Kay gets a tiny sliver of a shattered magic mirror that the devil made. It's a whole thing. And the young boy's perception of the world begins to warp. Things that are beautiful look ugly, and Kay starts to turn mean. One day, Kay crosses paths with the Snow Queen, a cold, supernatural being that rules over the winter snow, and she wishes to bring the boy to her castle.
There. I shan't give you any more kisses, or I might kiss you to death.
Oh, please.
Wanting her brother back, Gerda leaves home and goes on a quest that takes her through many strange lands, encountering many strange people. A sorceress with a vast magical garden who sees Gerda as the daughter she never had. A kingdom with a prince that oddly fits her brother's description. A literal den of thieves where a robber girl takes Gerda in as a playmate.
I have decided. The reindeer will take you. Here now, you bar. I should like to keep tickling you with my knife, you dear thing. But now, you must take Gerda to the far north. Take to your heels, fasten the snowflakes, fasten the Arctic winds. There's no need to look like that. You know what's going on. You listen in on everything.
Eventually, Gerda finds the Snow Queen's castle. But is she in time to save her brother before his heart becomes nothing but ice? The Snow Queen is a surreal tale, but one I've always loved. I grew up with this 1985 publication with some really haunting illustrations by Richard Hess. It was riveting. A story about familial love and growing up. It's also very weird and episodic, which makes it difficult to adapt. Believe it or not, this made-for-TV British version is the first English-language adaptation of the story. Before this, the Soviet Union had done a couple of versions, West Germany did one for TV, Japan had an anime adaptation, and only then did the BBC take their shot. And overall, it's a pretty faithful adaptation. It hits all the story beats, keeps all the important characters. A few moments get trimmed or sped up for time, but overall, good job. Of course, that's not what you're all paying attention to, because the BBC Snow Queen is a tour de force of 1970s blue screen effects. The entire thing is live-action actors slotted onto illustrated backgrounds, with some occasional, very basic animations. The background illustrations aren't bad at all, but the contrast is jarring at times. You can make the argument that these dated effects give the special a very surreal look that enhances the fairy tale atmosphere. I do think giving the titular Snow Queen a black void for a face is an inspired touch, but I can't really blame anyone if these dated elements take them out of it. Something like Shelley Duvall's fairy tale theater also had a level of artifice to it, but having real sets and props makes that show feel much more timeless compared to this. I imagine these dated effects are a large part of why this special has fallen out of memory, though it's impossible for me to say when it last aired. There's just too many things with the title The Snow Queen. Still, I'm pretty confident it's fallen into TV Obscura based on how little conversation there is about it online. I do know that it got a small VHS release, and thanks to that, the whole thing has been uploaded to YouTube. Anyway, you might argue that The Snow Queen isn't Christmas related, but as a Northern Hemisphere, Northern United States citizen who spent a lot of their formative years in mountain towns, snow and Christmas are just inherently linked for me. That's why my favorite new Christmas movie in the last few years was Hundreds of Beavers.
Golly, it must be Christmas. Doesn't seem possible somehow.
Looks as though I've got more than last year. I always thought you got less as you grew older.
Oh, look, Kay. Granny's given me a sledge of my own. Can't wait to try it out.
Hello? What's this? Here's something without a label on it.
It's Christmas Eve. Families are getting together, the weird families are already opening their presents, and the Christmas offerings on TV are plentiful. We have Christmas episode reruns for sitcoms like Barney Miller and Maude. We have movies like It's a Wonderful Life and Holiday Inn. I haven't really touched on the locality of Rutland, Vermont. It seems like it was in a sweet spot to catch local programming from all directions. The Yule Log was airing, which, if you're unfamiliar, is just looped footage of a fireplace with Christmas music playing. That was still largely a New York thing in 1981. The town is close enough to the border to get some Canadian television, so one of Mr. Dressup's Christmas specials was airing. For those unfamiliar, Mr. Dressup was Ernie Coombs, a puppeteering understudy for Fred Rogers, who started a similar puppet show up in Canada. There was also the Willie Whistle Christmas special, which I totally would have picked for this if I had managed to find it. Willie Whistle was a local children's TV host for Boston, a sailor clown who looked like this, played by a man named Dick Beach, and he was on TV for 20 years between 1967 and 1987. According to Wikipedia, this Christmas special tried for pathos and did not succeed. I want to watch it so bad, but it's proper lost media. I had a few good choices for the TV Obscura this day, but I wanted to find at least one qualifying special that actually premiered in 1981, and thankfully, home box office delivered. Let's take a look at The Trolls and the Christmas Express.
Those horribly ugly, roguish and rascally, tricky and troublesome trolls.
And we're gonna mess up that? Oh, it'll never work.
Some trolls show up at the North Pole to sabotage Santa. Where did they come from? Who cares? Why are they doing this? Because they're trolls. Look, don't worry about it. There's trolls, they want to ruin Christmas. Go suck on a candy cane and watch. The trolls grab some elf clothes and infiltrate Santa's workshop, but find it difficult to sabotage anything without elf magic fixing it right back up again. Finally, they come up with a foolproof plan. On the day before Christmas Eve, they'll throw a party in the reindeer stable, keeping the reindeer awake so that they'll be too tired to fly for Santa. So the reindeer are too tired to work, and all seems lost until one of the elves go, "Oh, duh, the Christmas Express. Our intricate network of rail lines will just take the train instead of using the sleigh." The trolls try to sabotage this too, but immediately flip sides when Santa convinces them that they were always part of Christmas. They're even in the songs. You know, "Troll the ancient Yuletide carol, fa la 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 la." So off Santa goes on his magic train with a little song about Santa's magic train, and yeah, I'm sorry, this one sucks. It was produced by another Canadian animation company, Atkinson Film Arts, and you're already familiar with their work because I've been mentioning them in passing all night. They're the ones who did Tukiki and His Search for a Merry Christmas and The Christmas Raccoons. Unfortunately, they didn't get quite as far as Nelvana. After this, they animated the first couple of Care Bear specials and some segments for the film Heavy Metal, but unfortunately some bad bookkeeping and a stock market crash resulted in the company folding in 1989. To start on a positive note, there's a lot of good animation here. The character designs here are uninspired, but at least that allows for them to move around fluidly, with few if any animation shortcuts. They get novelty song legend Roger Miller to narrate and sing the special central song, and they grabbed a well-seasoned voice cast, including Hans, Captain Hook Conrad, Paul, Spider-Man Souls, and Billy May, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer Richards. There's quality work behind this, but the premise is pretty dead on arrival. It basically combines two half-baked ideas. One where someone notices the word troll in Deck the Halls and wondered how they could spin that, and one where someone really hoped that a magical Christmas train would take off as a traditional seasonal image. And what's really funny about this is that they were kind of right. Oh, a Christmas special about someone mishearing the lyrics of a carol and thinking it's about them? That's the whole premise of all of the other reindeer. A magical Christmas train that goes to and from the North Pole. Chris von Allsburg's The Polar Express would hit bookstores only 4 years after the special. The difference, however, is that those later works made the effort to develop the ideas and build satisfying stories around them. The Troll and the Christmas Express has the air of presumed success, that you'll see their ideas as is and immediately jump on board, and they won't have to work for it. It's talented animation and voice acting wasted on very lazy writing. And that underwhelming nature meant it hasn't survived rotation into the 21st century. The final television listing I found was 2001 in Canada, 1999 in the United States. It got a VHS release and a brief print-on-demand DVD release, neither of which are easy to find, but like everything I've covered tonight, you can watch it pretty easily on YouTube. But you don't gotta. This is the one special I'm focusing on tonight that I would just give a complete miss to.
You know, I think that everyone likes Christmas, even trolls. So a very Merry Christmas to you all, and to all, a good night. Keep the train a-rolling down the track, let's hear those wheels go clickety-clack. We've far to go, so build up steam, we've got to build these childhood dreams.
Ah, Christmas Day. I don't know about you, but I rarely find time to actually watch Christmas specials on Christmas itself. It's all about the presents and then dealing with the presents. I just got a GameCube. I don't have time for Santa Claus is coming to town. Wind Waker is calling me. You can often see that reflected in the television schedules. Christmas Day tends to have fewer Christmas specials, and the Christmas specials they do air tend to be more low-energy ones. For example, The Bear Who Slept Through Christmas aired that day, which is a very mellow piece. Not quite a classic, but I still think well-remembered enough to not be TV Obscura. But, and this is exciting, who wants to hear about some Sesame Street lost media? Big Bird's Christmas show saw Carol Spinney as Big Bird conducting the Vancouver Symphony Orchestra, with Oscar the Grouch also making an appearance. This special is so obscure that not even the Muppet Wiki has a page for it. I want to see it so badly, and I scrubbed through all the CBC archives I could find, but no luck. However, CBC in 1981 was running previews for upcoming programming around December, including this future Nickelodeon classic.
Hello, I'm Lally Cadeau. Beginning January 11th, David Eisner of Springfield and I will be here on CBC each week to entertain you and hanging in.
But at this very special time, we wanted to extend our greetings to you.
So from all of us here on Hanging In, our very best wishes for a happy holiday season.
I wanted to pick something that matches that post-Christmas crash, that low energy you get in the second half of the day after the presents and waffle breakfast. And I think I found just the thing over on PBS. Originally airing in 1972, this is A New England Christmas. A middle-aged man returns to his childhood hometown for a quiet, snowy Christmas. He wanders through his old church, visits the graves of loved ones, drives the streets, passing by the shops he used to go to, visiting the one-room schoolhouse he got his education in, and then finally stopping by his old family home. As he does, he's flooded with nostalgic memories, remembering voices and sepia-toned photographs, days of Christmas past.
I remember when your mother was first baking, she cut the Miller family design by mistake. Theirs looked a lot like ours, and since it was about her first try at pie baking, she'd overlooked something, forgot the sugar, I think it was. Well, everybody at that church supper thought Mrs. Miller had made it. They weren't in any hurry to eat a Miller pie after that one.
Susan, go hunt up Jonathan. We need some more kindling.
This is a very simple half hour of television. No plot to speak of, and you could argue some scenes stretch a bit too long, but I don't think slow pacing is really a problem for what this is trying to be. A meditation on times past for the silent generation, those too young to have fought in the war but too old to be youthful baby boomers, the last generation to have a childhood before the modern wonders of television and the nuclear bomb. A scenic walk through the northeastern United States, an invitation to reminisce on our own childhoods. Oh wow, look at these awful, indecipherable credits. A New England Christmas was produced by the Maine Public Broadcasting Network, who manage all of the PBS and NPR stations for the state. It was shot in several towns throughout the state, including Temple, Newburgh, Holden, West Brooksville, and Madison. It is, thankfully, not a tourism ad. You can't sell Maine with muddy, snow-plowed streets. It is a proper nostalgia piece, and really easy to relax with, even if I personally wasn't born in 1925 and have never been to Maine. It is also very forgotten. It's the only Christmas special I've covered tonight that doesn't have an IMDb page. No home video releases that I could find, and a title generic enough that it's been used for half a dozen other projects. A New England Christmas got mothballed pretty quickly. The most recent TV listing I could confirm was in 1987. Once again, it is a small miracle that it's been uploaded to YouTube. To people uploading obscure stuff to YouTube, the founders of the feast. And a toast to the Christmas specials that we've left behind. Those made by the church and those made by scrappy animators in Canada. Those that emphasize the snow and those that emphasize the spirit. Merry Christmas from the Pop Arena. I hope it's a good one. And someone find that Big Bird special. I really want to watch it.